Okay, so the next operation type, we're going to do a profiling. Now in this part, let's go back to the program tab. We're going to go to profiling. Okay. On this part, we're going to profile the outer edge. So we're going to cut it out of the stock completely. And this part actually does have a number of holes in it. So these areas in here are actually pockets that cut all the way through the part. Okay. So you got pockets all over this panel. Okay. So let's remove all of our geometry. And for the geometry, we want to pick the select curve edge regions. We're going to pick the outer edge. Okay, so we're going to profile on the outside of that edge. We're also going to profile all of these because these cut all the way through the part. We're going to select that one. We're going to select this one. So we have two curve regions on this drawing. We got an inner pocket and an outer edge. So we're going to use the pocket. We're going to use this pocket, this pocket, this pocket. And there's another pocket down here. That's not the one I want. If you want to get rid of one, just press the control key and pick it again. It'll get rid of it. Okay, so what I wanted to pick was this outer one. Okay. Oh, no, actually I was right the first time. Let me get rid of that. Okay. Control key will unselect, so you don't have to reselect everything you picked. So these inner squares are actually the cutouts. I'm going to select those. And then these down here are cutouts. So these are going to cut all the way from the top of our part that we already have machined down all the way down to the bottom. Okay, just going to right click there. So there is our regions that we're going to use to contain the profiling operation. For the tool, we're going to use the 1/2 inch flat mill. Feeds and speeds, clearance, we're not going to talk about that. Cut parameters, we're going to use a tolerance of 1/1000. We're not going to leave any stock. Okay, and for this profiling operation, we're going to do it in a roughing and a finishing at the same operation, and I'll show you how to do that. And we're going to do a mixed cut direction. We're going to use the midpoint of the largest side for the profiling, which is fine. We're also going to do specify the cutting side. We're going to do the right side, which happens to be the outside, okay? Or you can use the inside outside. We'll just leave it set to that. And then we're going to use this checkbox for alternate using nesting. And the reason we're going to do that is that the pockets or the profiles that we want to cut, they're nested. So you have one profile on the outside, you got other profiles on the inside. So it's going to figure out which side to cut automatically. So down here we have the stepper overs where we're going to tell it to do a roughing pass and a finishing pass. So you can give a total cut width, and then you can do a step per cut. So the step per cut is in the X and the Y. So we're going to put this to 0.1, and we're going to leave that to 0.1 also. So it's going to break that profile up into 2 passes. Okay, so let's look at our cut levels. Again, a very important, or the most important tab on your 2-axis will be the cut levels tab. Okay, so again, where do we want to start the cut? Well, we have the part already machined down, okay, to this 0545. So obviously, if we want to machine from there all the way down, this pick top option needs to be the 0.0545, 0.0545. That's where the cut's going to start, okay? And then for the total cut depth, let's see if we got it on here, our total cut depth. Okay, we don't have it dimensioned, but you can refer to it by just adding 2 of these dimensions, like we're going to add the 118, okay? Or take the 3/8 and subtract the 118, okay? And that comes out to 3205. So we're going to do 0.3205. That's going to be the total cut depth of the profiling operation, and it's going to go all the way down to the bottom of the stock. Okay, and let's go ahead and let's do this at a couple of cut levels, since we are cutting, almost 3/8 of an inch. Entry and exit, we can go ahead and use a ramp entry, do a long path, and we'll just retract straight up. Okay, let's go ahead and generate that. Okay, so we've got a profiling operation. We've got 2 passes. The outer pass, you can consider that as a roughing pass. The inner pass with the stock set to 0, that means it'll be a finish pass right on the curve. Okay, the same with on the inside. It automatically calculated this was the outside, this is the inside. Okay, and it automatically figured out the side to cut. So it's going to have 2 passes, 1 roughing and 1 finishing for all of these holes. And here we got arc motions here. Okay, and then if you look at our elevation view, we're cutting down. This is the top of the stock. Remember, this is our drawing. Okay, even though that's where our geometry is that we selected, that's not the top of the cut, but because we defined the top to be cut levels, where are you? We defined the top of the cut to be at minus 0.545. That should be a minus. Okay, regenerate that. Okay, this looks a little bit better. So here's the top of the stock. That's where our drawing is. We've already cut down 0.118. So we're going to go down further 3 cut levels to get to the bottom. Okay, so let's go ahead and simulate that. Okay. So what we've done here is we've actually profiled the outer edge. Okay, and these there's some inner edges here. Okay, let's go ahead and look at this. Okay.
Just a quick note there, Don, on the cut levels. Some people get confused that the cut depth is actually absolute value, but in our system, the cut depth is actually the coordinate value. So with respect to your 0. So that's why Don had to specify a negative value, which means you're cutting below the 0.
Right.
So that's an important distinction that we have to make.
This point that we want to start cutting is below where our setup coordinate is, which is at the top of the stock. If you remember, we created actually we didn't create a work 0. You don't have to have a work 0, but by default it's at the top of your stock. And we entered a negative number, which brought it down to this point right here. Okay, and then our cut depths went from this level on down. We used 3 cut levels. Okay, so we have, let's turn this off. So for our drawing, just to go over real quick, we faced it off down to the top of the part. We did a pocket, which is this area right here. You can see it a little bit. This is the pocket on the outer edge. And then we did some through holes, which go all the way through. This is some of the edges here. I know it looks a little complicated, but you probably get the idea if you look at this profile, this section view here. Okay, so let's go back over here. And another thing I want to show you is that when we simulate this, let's play this again. I want to go into my preferences and I want to do the simulation. I want to do it from semi-transparent for now. I'm going to do it opaque so we can see the stock a lot better. Okay, and let's just go up here. Now what I've done is, if you recall, I made the stock color a dark blue, if you remember, and I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to change some of these colors. You can use the properties option and you can change these colors, and I'm going to change the colors for my facing. Okay, and I'm going to change the color of this pocket, and I think I used that. Click OK, and then this one is going to be the same. Okay, and to get these colors to show up, use this little drop down here. So the default for the properties are going to be to the MOP, meaning MOP is short for machining operation. So I'm going to pick MOP, and you'll see that the colors now appear in the simulation. So it just makes it easier. We highlighted these edges in white, as you can see, or very light blue. So you can see the edges real good. You can see where the profile cuts go, and you can see where the top of our pod is down here. Okay, and then also out here. Okay. Again, if you got any questions, I know this is a complicated part, but I'm trying to go slow enough so you can get the idea of the cut levels. Okay.
Don, there was a question about the cut levels. When you get some time, can you walk through the cut levels again?
Yeah, we're going to be doing it for a number of more operations.